Nobody wanted to listen. So let's start with what Candace Owens had to say. Then we're going to run off and we're going to see what the prince is doing right now in his jail cell.
What else is going on? I will say we should probably discuss Jeffrey Epstein.
Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein?
Yeah, we are. I'm sorry, Trumpy Bear, we are. I'm so sorry, but we have to. Now, you might recall that Virginia Giuffre was the victim who really came out. She has since passed away, but she came out and was naming names and was kind of the one that kind of broke the story in a really big way as one of the victims. And as a part of her story, you can see this photo that we're showing. She alleged that she was forced to have sex with the Duke of York, being Prince Andrew, in London, in New York, in the U.S. Virgin Islands when she was just 17 years old. And she named the homes that she was required to do that in. And she spoke about how Ghislaine Maxwell was central to that. She was very explicit in describing Andrew. She talked about how he was sweating and how he liked to dance. And so I guess attempting to do the right thing here, the BBC sat down with Andrew, Prince Andrew, and they unpacked her allegations. They asked him, is this true? And in case you forgot, this is how Prince Andrew decided to respond to those allegations. Take a listen.
So you're absolutely sure that you're at home on the 10th of March.
Yeah.
She was very specific about that night. She described dancing with you and you profusely sweating, and that she went on to have bath, possibly.
There's a slight problem with the sweating because I have a peculiar medical condition, which is that I don't sweat, or I didn't sweat at the time, and that was actually, yeah.
This is Joker said he didn't sweat at the time. So that means he sweats now, but at that time his sweat glands were non-existent. That's really weird. I've never seen that before. Like your sweat glands just changed, I guess, miraculously since you were messing with her. Your story ain't holding it up.
I didn't sweat at the time because I had suffered what I would describe as an overdose of adrenaline in the Falklands War when I was shot at. And I simply, it was almost impossible for me to sweat. And it's only because I have done a number of things in the recent past that I'm starting to be able to do that again. So I'm afraid to say that there's a medical condition that says that I didn't do it, so therefore.
It's just unbelievable. You just can't make that up.
That Joker said he has a medical condition which prohibits him from sweating. So he couldn't have done it. But I guess the UK government, definitely King Charles, they think and they feel differently because they just arrested the prince. And I'm going to tell you the way I felt about this when this story dropped, and I haven't been covering Epstein, largely because he's a slime bucket. And I really feel every time you cover Epstein and you talk about all these people, like even when they're talking about the prince right now, it's really just it's just re-victimizing the victims. They don't and I got a chance to listen to some of these victim stories, and dude, I'm telling you, it's crazy. They were pimping hard and they were just pimping them to get them positions as models, as actors. And the craziest part about it, some of the girls knew it, and that's all they could do was conform to it. So, but I don't think they arrested him for big pimping. They didn't get him for big pimping.
And get to some breaking news that is happening as we speak in the United Kingdom, where it is on its way towards lunchtime on a Thursday. The reports are that Prince Andrew, the former Prince Andrew, has been arrested. Now, the suggestion is that police have arrived at the former prince's home. Now, this information is very fresh to us right now. It is the BBC who is making this reporting as we speak, but Andrew, Mountbatten Windsor, as he is to be known now, of course, the former Prince Andrew, all of the questions that have surrounded his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein, all of the questions that have extended into potential domestic consequences that may be for him in the United Kingdom. Now, we will learn over the next hour exactly what has taken place, but 8 officers have arrived at his home in the past few minutes. They've arrived in 6 separate Metropolitan Police vehicles. Now, one of the accusations that was being levelled at the former Prince Andrew is that when he was the trade envoy, and he was for the best part of more than 10 years, he was representing the UK government. Now, obviously, he was above party politics as to whether that was a Conservative government or a Labor government. But amazingly here, that question of misconduct in public office is what this all connects back to. Because...
Wow, so they're not getting him on sex trafficking, none of that. They're focusing on misconduct in a public office. And the thing that's weird about that to me, and I'm going to jump to this other report because let's jump to this one over here.
Our next guest has a long...
The thing that's weird about that to me is they could have did this a long time ago. They didn't have to wait for the files to drop. They already had pictures of it. He had already been stripped of his title. Is it something like the files dropped and the outrage, and then all of a sudden they did it? That's the thing that's weird to me. That's why I kind of feel he's probably going to be the only one arrested in this, because the U.S. Department, I think it was the DOJ, they tapped the UK government on the shoulder about him. And so are they planning on any arrest for the United States citizens that were involved in this? I mean, we're going to see Jay. I don't think so. Because there's a long list of people. And I think his position is just like the position with Bill Clinton. Fingerprints all over it. We see the pictures. You saw Bill Clinton dressed up like he was Rico Suave, had the linen top on like he was Biggie out of a video, posing with Epstein. So if we're going to do this for a former prince who got stripped of his title, and at one time he was the Queen's most favorite son, now she's dead, and she paid $12 million to get him out the other deal. But I think his brother's going to crucify him. Oh, no. Yeah. His brother's going to crucify him and drag him. Because at the end of the day, I think Prince Andrew is still in line for the British monarch. Even though he's stripped from his title, he's still in succession. He's 8 people down. I think 6 or 8 people down in succession in the British monarchy.
History with the royal family. Piers Morgan has met Andrew, knows his ex-wife Fergie and their daughter as well. He joins us now on the phone. Hey, Piers, did you ever think it would come to this?
Do you know, I was beginning to fear it might, but when it actually happens, it is an absolute bombshell. I mean, to put this into context, there has been no member of the royal family.
Hey, can you please like, subscribe, follow? If you're watching this, just browsing through, listen, everything you do helps the content. And you're welcome to buy a cup of coffee. Let's go.
In my lifetime, I'm 60 years old.
Did you hear that? He said this is I think there was one other member of the British family that was arrested on some minor charge. I think her dog attacked another person's dog or something like that. But Prince Andrew is the very first member of the royal family that's going to see the gallows, the guillotine. Nah.
No member of the royal family arrested in my lifetime. I'm 60 years old. If you have to go back centuries to the last time that a member of the British royal family was arrested. And this is a serious matter. If he is convicted of misconduct in public office, then the vast majority of people that receive that kind of conviction end up with a prison sentence, and the maximum sentence is life imprisonment. And this is the king's brother who remains 8th in line to the throne. So this is
I thought it was that 8th in line for the throne. Listen, make a comment if you think that he's actually going to go to jail and get prosecuted. I think he's going to flow in and flow out. I think they're probably going to hold an arrangement. They'll probably put him in a nice cushy cell. But part of me also feels like his brother who's spearheading this, who could have stopped it, he's got some animosity towards him. But big picture, if his brother stepped in the way like his mama did, then of course the people are going to revolt. You're going to hear it all over British news, UK, over to the US. The prince got away, the ex-prince got away with practically rape. And then again, this has nothing to do with his sex allegations. Nothing. All of this has to do with some misconduct in position.
Like I say, an absolute bombshell, not completely surprising, because I think the tone of the King's statement last week clearly opened the door for the police to make a move.
So Piers, just to be clear for us that don't understand, even though his royal titles were taken away, even though he was kicked out of the palace, and all the estate, he's not receiving a salary from the government, from the people anymore, he still remains in the line of succession?
Yeah, I know it sounds preposterous, but that is the current state of play. Now, I think it's very fanciful that he would ever accede to the throne under any circumstances, and I think increasingly that is going to be ruled out anyway by the sequence of events. But I think it's important to clarify here that the arrest is not in connection with anything to do with the sex scandal involving Epstein. This is very specifically about his behavior when he was a trade envoy, which is a government appointment. He was acting on behalf of the country for about a decade, in which he traveled around the world as a kind of business envoy for the country. And during that period, we now know from leaks from the Epstein files, he was giving Epstein, and remember, a convicted pedophile, he was giving him the information he was getting, top secret information, as a trade envoy. I mean, this is treacherous, treasonous behavior by a man who is the brother of the king of this country now. So these are very serious allegations. And of course, once there's a police investigation, they've been raiding all of his homes now. They'll be taking all his devices, everything they can find that may relate to this. But that might also, of course, uncover more information, more evidence about the other incredibly serious allegations against Andrew, which is that he, of course, committed sex crimes involving Virginia Giuffre and possibly.
So what they're going to use is, I see it now. So they're going to use this situation, and this is what I suspect is going to happen. They're going to use this situation to open it up and say, okay, this guy that you were giving information, because it was his responsibility to basically do business for the crown. So his responsibility was to find deals, close deals, and partner the crown with potential buyers, potential investors, potential people that will bring companies that will bring in money to the UK. Okay, and work with the crown in doing it to build and expand, of course, their financial settings. Now, I had to look at, I said, the royal family has in assets, I think they're somewhere around 88 billion in assets, 19 to 20 billion in real estate assets. So he had a lot of money he was playing with, and we knew that Epstein also was a financier, right? He was cutting deals all around the globe with people. So it kind of made sense that Andrew and his loony self had some type of dealings with him, backdoor dealings for cash. Now, I personally feel that Epstein was blackmailing him. I do. I think Epstein was blackmailing him. That's my personal opinion.
The others.
You're saying he's charged with misconduct in public office. You're saying that carries a maximum sentence of life imprisonment. I mean, what kind of top secret info is he sharing with Jeffrey Epstein? And how serious is this? Why would he share secrets about the government with Jeffrey Epstein? This is a statement, Pierce, and I want to get your reaction from the King that we just read earlier, but now that we have you on, I've learned with the deepest concern and news about Andrew Batten Windsor, and suspicion of misconduct in public office. What now follows is the full, fair, and proper process by which this issue is investigated in the appropriate manner and by the appropriate authorities. In this, as I have said before, they have our full and wholehearted support and cooperation. Let me state clearly, the law must take its course. As this process continues, it would not be right for me to comment further on this matter. Meanwhile, my family and I will continue in our duty and service to you all. What do you make of that statement? He's calling his brother by his full name.
Right.
Yeah, it's just astounding. I mean, this is somebody who was Prince Andrew, who was the Queen's favoured son, it was reported constantly. And there are going to be very difficult questions for the Queen. You've got to remember, the Queen stepped in and paid over $12 million, it is reported, to Virginia Giuffre to settle that case she brought against when he was then Prince Andrew. This is the King and Prince William and others, of course. They've all been around Buckingham Palace, for example, where there are now increasing pieces of evidence emerging of flights where women, young women, have been flown in and brought to the palace. Who knew what, where, and when? It's increasingly likely, I would say, that other senior members of the royal family are going to have to also be interviewed by the police. So this might just be the...
So I suspect his brother, the king, knew, didn't say anything. Of course, the queen knew. She's dead right now. She's passed away. But she paid that $12 million because she knew it. So it's been a cover-up. And I got to say that Epstein was blackmailing him. Epstein had to have something. Guess what? All them videos, of course, because Epstein was recording everything, taking pictures of everything, communicating via email. Dude, how do you use Gmail and Yahoo to communicate your craziness? I don't get it. There's so many other email services you can use out there that would encrypt your stuff. And I'm not giving any of y'all ideas. Oh, no. Yeah. But at the end of the day, Epstein had to have something on him to blackmail him. If he didn't, then why would he willingly give Epstein information on the Crown's financial holdings? Information that he wasn't privy to. And the worst part about this is that it takes the UK to arrest someone. I keep saying nobody's going to get arrested in the US concerning this. A couple different things happened with this situation. Just like we had Cassidy with Puffy sticking around because she felt like she was going to get something from it. We had a combination of women that did not want to stick around, but that was their career. And then you had a combination of women that wanted they knew that was how you got ahead. Because anybody can say anything right now after Epstein died. And everybody can say, even with the trial, they said what they had to say concerning Epstein. And do I believe he was a slime bucket? Yeah, I believe he was a slime bucket. I believe that he was a slime bucket, that Andrew's a slime bucket. They all knew it. They had the videos. They had pictures of these women, and nobody said or did anything. People in power covered it up, or they just completely ignored it. Nobody gave enough props to Donald Trump for actually, and I think it was 2 or 3 days in the news media circulation. Yeah, Trump, yeah, he tried to, bring back Epstein. He tried to oust him, and he told them, hey, don't let this guy in. He's bad news. And they just covered that for 2 days, and then it went away. But just like with the situation with Puffy, same thing here. You got guys with money, you got guys with power, and you got women that need to progress in their career. They went out to be, actors, models, and these guys know that, and they take advantage of it. See, that's how the manipulation works. If your desire to actually do something exceeds, or you're ready to at any cost to do it, this is what happens. This is how they get you with frats. Yeah, I know you guys don't want to hear it. It's the same thing. That's how they get you with frats. Your desire to be a member of that fraternity or that organization, no matter what the name is, you plug in a name, call it whatever you want. I'm not going to point any specific one out. There's a bunch of videos out here calling you guys out already. The desire to be a part of that organization is what will make you do anything and everything. And we can't discount that regardless of the victim, of what the victims went through. We can't ignore that. But at the same time, we can't ignore people like this who actually preyed on that ambition. They paid on that ambition. Because who doesn't really, let's be for real, who doesn't really have ambition to be successful? Who doesn't? And in some cases, we're taught in this world to be successful. You got to go through whatever you got to go through. Push through it. Everybody just push through it. Just do it. Anything and everything to get those letters, to join that organization, be a part of that company, achieve that goal. Then you have predators like this who prey on stuff like that, and they will constantly prey on it. But they've got, I believe they're going to use this situation to open it up and to say, hey, let's talk about what happened with Epstein. How did he end up with all of the information on the Crown popping up in U.S. servers, according to Epstein files? Insane.
tipping point of a gigantic scandal, which represents, I would argue, an existential threat to the monarchy itself. It is that serious.
Wow. So, Pierce, let's talk about the government. We know about Ambassador Mandelson out. He's linked in the Epstein files. We know the chief of staff that recommended him to Starmer. He's out. He said it was my fault. I recommended him. So
the chief of staff, the ambassador is out. The UK is actually cleaning shop way more than any American, or more than the DOJ has done, more than any type of cancel culture has done in America concerning the Epstein file. And I got to applaud the UK, because it takes a lot to actually arrest a member, even a king, to arrest a member of the royal family when they could have swept that thing underneath the rug. Now, I'm not saying that he's going to be tried and found guilty. Not saying that, but the point, even putting it out there. But now I kind of feel in this situation with all the evidence, once he's tried, he should be found guilty, because we know it and is out there. He knows it at the same time.
I'll quit. Is Starmer going to stay in office? The prime minister? Is he basically hanging on by a thread?
Yeah, I think he's a political dead man walking. I mean, and it's all centered around what happened with Lord Mandelson. And the short version of that scandal is that Mandelson, who had twice previously lost government jobs, was brought back by Keir Starmer last year to become the UK ambassador to the United States. And it was revealed last week in the Prime Minister's Questions, the weekly public debate you see in the House of Commons between the Prime Minister and the opposition leader. Keir Starmer admitted that before he made that appointment, he had been told that Mandelson had maintained an ongoing friendship and relationship with Epstein post his conviction and post the timeline that he had always said was the timeline, which, like with Andrew, they both pretended that they dropped Epstein after the conviction. They didn't. And we know that from the leaks from the Epstein files. So I think Starmer is in serious trouble. I would be astonished if he is still Prime Minister in 2 to 3 months. We have the local elections in May. It's very likely that Labour will get an absolute shellacking then, and I think that will be the tipping point for Starmer. So we're seeing some extraordinary things happening in this country. The King's brother arrested, the British Prime Minister very likely to be unseated because of his connection to the Epstein scandal and appointing Mandelson. Mandelson himself, remember, it's now been shown from evidence in these files, was also, when he was the business secretary, so a senior member of the British government, he was also giving highly sensitive, classified business information to Epstein. Now, remember, Epstein was a financier. So was he taking this information from Lord Mandelson, a member of the British government at the time, and from Andrew when he was Prince Andrew, a senior member of the royal family? Was he taking the information that they were both giving him, which was top secret, and they're using it to make a ton of money? That will be I'm sure, the paper trail that the police, both here and probably the FBI and other authorities in America, will now be pursuing.
So just like, and to me, this is just like one of those things with the Capone case. They don't necessarily got to get you on the crime of sex trafficking or having those relationships or raping or any of those things. They can get you with a financial crime and then turn around and flip that into, hold on, you were with Epstein? What was y'all doing on the island? Hold on, who are these ladies? Name some of them. Within the scope of that charge, they'll open it up as much as possible. And people they're not really saying it, but I applaud the UK. I applaud them for actually bringing somebody and holding somebody's feet to the fire and making them answer for some of these atrocities, some of these crazy things that these guys were doing, simply because they had money, simply because they had access, and that's it. Mammon will make you do the most craziest things. It will make you manipulate people, lie to people, cheat people, and do all those things because you got to have it. And he came from one of those families that they got access to all of this.